Okay, in this video we're going to go over timing on your machine. So I've got a timing chart here. You can get this off of the website for whichever machine you're running. You time everything to the turret, and so this shows that at 0 degrees the turret should start its movement and it should stop when it reaches 140 degrees. And then we're also going to go over in this video how to do the timing on the ejection. They're all their own different cams and everything, and the process is the same, just the timing needs to be different. So if we look down here, here's our timing dial, and it shows where we're at currently on the machine. So right now we're at 330 degrees. So to start and make sure that we're okay, we're going to rotate it over to 0, and then make sure that we've got the turret beginning its movement at that time. So we'll get it rotated over and show you what that looks like. Okay, I'm manually just rotating right now until we hit this point, and I'm going back and forth where you can see this is just right where the turret is beginning to move to the next station. So that's the point that you want everything to be at 0 degrees on our dial. So at this point, you know you're there, come back over to your dial or have someone else check it, see where you're at, and it looks like we are actually a little bit off. We're at about 15 right now. So right now I'm rotating it manually, and you want to hit the point right before where the turret starts to move. So I'm going to get to here, and we see it's going to start to, it started to move back and forth between station. Your 0 point needs to be right before it's starting to do that. So once you've found that and you're pretty sure you're on it, head back over to your dial, and here you can see whether or not you are. Looks like in this case I've gone a bit too far, and if you need to adjust it, you would just loosen this nut and then reset to 0 when you're at the correct point, tighten it back up, and then you'll time everything else to that. So to adjust your timing on the ejection, on your timing sheet here, you see at 130 degrees it's supposed to start moving up. 220 it's supposed to reach the peak. 250 it starts to move back down, and 340 it hits its lowest point. So you want to rotate until you're at one of these 4 positions, and then make sure you can get to all 4 bolts on the cam, which we will show you in a minute. But we're just going to rotate so that we're at 220, because we already figured out on this one that that's where we're going to be able to access everything with the way the cam is in there. So I'm going to rotate to 220 and we'll go from there.
You're there.
There?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you get your timing disc over to 220 degrees, you come over here to your cam, and then you're ready to adjust it. You loosen the outer 2 bolts, and then the cam should be able to spin for you. It's going to be difficult to do, but it should move. If it doesn't, you can loosen the inner 2. Those 2 hold the cam together, so if you do that, you have to be careful when you're putting it back together. You have to line it up, tighten those first, otherwise you're going to cause problems. But you can do that if you still can't rotate the cam. So what we're going to do is, since we're at 220 degrees, we're then going to rotate until this is at its peak, like it should be, and we're pretty much there. So there's, as you can see as I'm rotating the cam, there's our spot. So you just want to get so it's right at the top there, and tighten it down when you're at your 220 degrees and you've hit that spot. Just trying to double check and make sure I'm there. Okay. Once you got that, just get your socket in here and you can tighten these up. So after you've gotten everything set like it should be, to test it, you're going to want to rotate back to 220 degrees or whatever the timing sheet shows, and then just make sure it's at the position it should be. So tell me when.
Right there. Go back. Right there.
Now that you've stopped, you can see this is at the top of where it should be. It again will help to have a couple of people helping. You need to have someone rotating, someone looking at the timing disc itself. But we're at the top at 220 degrees. If you want to test again and make sure it starts to go down at 250 degrees, just to double check, that's fine. Don't jog the machine before you have tested this and rotated it by hand. If anything is off, you can crash things and break parts, and you don't want that. But that's how you do your timing, and you should be set with that.